The sky split open like a cracked mirror, lightning ripping through the purple clouds. Eric Torm's boots skidded on the jagged rocks of the canyon as the plasma storm struck closer, each crackle of energy scorching the air. He barely had time to think before a scream shattered the chaos, a high-pitched, piercing sound that froze him in place. His eyes darted toward the source, a small, scaly creature trapped beneath a fallen metal beam, trembling violently, its tiny wings beating helplessly against the debris. Without hesitation, Eric charged forward, muscles coiled, heart pounding. The wind tore at his jacket, and shards of rock flew around him like missiles, but he didn't stop. He grabbed the beam with every ounce of strength he had, straining until it groaned and lifted enough for the hatchling to wriggle free. He caught it instinctively, cradling the small creature close to his chest. Its scales shimmered in shifting shades of silver and violet, pulsating faintly like a heartbeat. It shivered, peering at him with eyes that glowed with an almost human intelligence. A sudden bolt of lightning struck just feet away, throwing Eric off balance. He stumbled, barely keeping the hatchling from hitting the jagged rocks below. "Hold on, little one," he muttered under his breath, his voice almost drowned by the storm's roar. The hatchling squeaked again, curling into his chest, and for a fleeting second, Eric felt a connection he couldn't explain. This was no ordinary creature. From the sky above, a shadow emerged, enormous and terrifying. A massive dragon descended, scales glittering like molten metal under the storm's flash. Its wings spread wide, sending a gust that knocked Eric back several steps, but he held on tightly to the hatchling. The dragon's eyes glowed with intensity, not anger but something heavier, grief. Eric could feel it in the air, a weight pressing down on him. The hatchling stirred in his arms, and suddenly its scales began to glow brighter, casting a soft light around them. The dragon froze mid-air, tilting its massive head as if reading the hatchling's pulse. Eric noticed that the glow from the creature seemed to respond to danger. The brighter it shone, the closer the storm's energy threatened them. He realized the hatchling might be more than it seemed. Perhaps it could sense danger, perhaps even influence it. Before he could react further, the ground trembled violently. Rocks rolled down the canyon walls, forcing Eric to leap aside, still cradling the hatchling. The storm's energy seemed drawn toward the massive dragon above, converging around it like a living halo of electricity. Eric's heart raced, not from fear alone but from awe. How could a human, a single veteran, even survive in the same canyon with a creature of such magnitude? Yet here he was, protecting this fragile life against impossible odds. The dragon landed, each footfall shaking the ground like a minor quake. Its massive head lowered, eyes locking onto Eric. The hatchling quivered, letting out a soft, almost pleading sound. Eric felt a flicker of fear but also something else, determination. He straightened, standing tall despite the storm and the looming dragon. If he faltered, both creatures could die, and the colony beyond the canyon might face unknown consequences. Then came a sound that froze him. Not thunder, not wind, but a voice, low, resonant, and impossibly clear. "Can my son stay with me?" The words didn't come from lips but from thought, filling Eric's mind with their weight. The dragon's gaze remained fixed on him, unwavering, expecting an answer. His pulse raced. He didn't understand how this was possible, yet he knew one thing: hesitation here would cost lives. Eric tightened his hold on the hatchling, feeling its warmth against his chest. "I'll protect him," he said aloud, though he wasn't sure the dragon could hear him in normal terms. The hatchling coiled instinctively, its glowing scales reacting to the dragon's question, pulsing faster, almost like a heartbeat echoing in the storm. For a brief moment, Eric felt the unimaginable, the weight of two lives resting entirely in his hands. Suddenly, a sharp crack echoed through the canyon. A chunk of rock, dislodged by the storm, hurtled toward them. Eric dove, rolling to the side, hatchling still secure. The rock slammed into the ground where he had been standing moments before, sending shards flying in every direction. He gasped, adrenaline roaring through him, and looked up to find the dragon's wings flaring, shielding its own body and the hatchling from the next strike of lightning. Eric's mind raced. This wasn't just a storm, it was a test, a moment where courage and instinct could decide life or death. He had saved the hatchling once, but could he do it again, under the shadow of a dragon whose sheer presence could crush him? And more importantly, what would happen if the dragon's question demanded an answer he wasn't ready to give? Lightning struck again, closer this time, and the ground trembled beneath him. The hatchling's glow intensified, almost blinding, and for the first time, Eric felt that whatever lay ahead, nothing in his life had prepared him for the bond he now shared with this strange, helpless creature. or the eyes of a mother dragon waiting for his answer. Then a new sound cut through the storm, a deep, echoing roar, not of anger but of sorrow. The dragon's voice trembled in thought, shaking the air and rattling Eric's bones. The hatchling stiffened, and Eric knew instantly, this wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about trust, choice, and a danger far bigger than the storm itself. The veteran braced himself, gripping the hatchling tighter. Somewhere deep in the storm, he knew the real test was about to begin, and it would decide the fate of both dragon and human alike. And then, from the sky above, a shadow darker than the storm's clouds loomed, moving faster than any dragon should be able to fly. Eric froze. Something else was coming. The sky was still alive with crackling energy, the plasma storm raging without mercy, but Eric Torm didn't have a second to pause. He held the hatchling close, feeling its tiny body tremble against his chest. Its glow had dimmed slightly after the lightning strikes, but pulses of light still flickered unpredictably, like it was warning him of something unseen. The dragon above hovered just beyond the cliff's edge, massive wings slicing the air with precision, its scales glinting under the storm's flickering light. Its gaze never left him, patient but expectant. Eric scanned the canyon quickly. The mercenary skimmers had arrived. They were small, agile, but armed with anti-alien tech that could kill both human and dragon alike. Their pulse cannons hummed, targeting the hatchling. The dragon's protective shadow flared, wings beating to ward them off, but it couldn't hold them back entirely. Eric knew he had to act fast, or the fragile life in his arms would be gone before the mother dragon could intervene. He ducked behind a jagged rock outcropping, still cradling the hatchling, and pulled out his comm device. Delta Squad, hold your fire. Target the canyon walls for cover, not the creatures. His voice barely carried over the storm, but he pressed on, improvising. He had to create a barrier somehow. Quick calculations ran through his mind. The hatchling's glow, its bioenergy, was reacting to danger. Could he amplify it somehow? He knelt on the wet, jagged stone, positioning the hatchling over a small panel in his armor. Sparks flew as he connected the hatchling's energy pulse to his shield generator. The light flared brighter, illuminating the canyon in shades of violet and silver. The mercenaries paused, confused. Eric had no idea if this would work, but it bought him precious seconds. A warning screech echoed through the storm. One of the skimmers broke formation, swooping too close to the hatchling. Without thinking, Eric jumped, swinging his leg against the craft. It wobbled, losing balance, and slammed into the canyon wall. The other mercenaries hesitated, assessing the chaos. The hatchling glowed brighter, almost in response to Eric's bravery. For a moment, a small victory washed over him. He had protected it once again, and it had responded. The dragon above flapped its wings, sending a shockwave of wind down the canyon. Eric shielded the hatchling, realizing the creature wasn't just following instinct, it was aware of him. It had judged him, and in that judgment, it had accepted a temporary truce. The air between them felt charged, more alive than the storm itself. Eric could feel the tension crackling through his veins. Then came the telepathic voice again, trembling and urgent. He must stay with me. Protect him. The dragon mother's plea echoed in his mind, and Eric's jaw tightened. It wasn't a request, it was a demand of moral weight, a test of courage and compassion. He nodded, even though the dragon couldn't see it, knowing that the choice he made here could change everything. For the hatchling, for the mother, even for the colony. Another pulse cannon fired from the skimmers, aimed directly at the hatchling. Eric reacted instinctively, throwing himself in front of the glow. The energy hit his shield just as the hatchling emitted a sudden flare of light. The combined force deflected the attack, creating a shockwave that sent debris flying everywhere. Eric staggered but stayed upright, clutching the hatchling tightly. He felt its heartbeat, fast, panicked but synchronized with his own. A mercenary yelled from a distance. "He's just a human. Take him out." But Eric ignored them. His focus was on the hatchling and the dragon above. He had to understand it, to read its behavior quickly, or no one would survive this storm. He noticed that the hatchling's glow pulsed faster when the dragon above flared its wings defensively, almost like a warning signal. If he learned to read it, perhaps they could work together to counter the mercenaries. Eric shouted over the storm, "Listen. Don't fire. Wait for my signal." His voice carried a strange authority, born from urgency and fear combined. He could see the hesitation in their movements. The mercenaries weren't used to unpredictability. And unpredictability was his only weapon now. Suddenly, a deafening roar split the storm. The mother dragon's wings beat violently, sending a vortex of wind and lightning that knocked the skimmers off course. Eric stumbled, still holding the hatchling, but it had worked. He had coordinated a small victory with nothing but instinct, courage, and his understanding of the hatchling's unusual abilities. The mercenaries faltered, disoriented. Eric's mind raced. He knew this wasn't enough. The storm would continue. The mercenaries would regroup. And the dragon, while protective, was massive and unpredictable. Every second he hesitated could cost the hatchling its life. He took a deep breath, feeling the hatchling stir. Its tiny claws gripped his armor, and the glow pulsed rhythmically, almost as if it were telling him, "We can do this, together." Eric's pulse quickened. He had a plan forming, a dangerous, bold move that would either save them or end everything. Lightning struck close again, shaking the canyon, and Eric's eyes widened. The mother dragon flared its wings, pushing against the storm, but the air around them shimmered oddly as if something else, something bigger, was moving just beyond the lightning. Eric froze. Whatever it wasn't part of the storm, and it wasn't friendly. The hatchling's glow shot brighter, almost blinding him, and Eric realized, it sensed the new threat before he could. He tightened his grip and whispered, "Hold on. We're not done yet." A shadow fell across the canyon, larger than the mother dragon itself, cutting through the plasma lightning. Eric looked up, eyes wide, heart hammering. Something unknown was coming for them, and this time, it wasn't just the storm. Eric's breath caught in his throat as the massive shadow loomed over the canyon. It moved faster than the storm winds, cutting through lightning arcs with unnatural speed. The mother dragon flared her wings, a protective shield of shimmering scales surrounding the hatchling, but Eric knew sheer size and power might not be enough. Whatever this was, it wasn't part of any natural storm, and it wasn't human. The hatchling's glow intensified, pulsing rapidly against Eric's chest. He realized it wasn't just reacting to danger, it was communicating. Images and sensations flashed through his mind, snippets of memory that weren't his own. A landscape scorched by fire, alien claws clutching at a nest, voices screaming in a language he couldn't understand. And in the center of it all, a small dragon hatchling, exactly like the one he held. The creature's pulse raced as if urging him to pay attention. Eric's eyes darted to the approaching shadow. It was enormous, far larger than the mother dragon, with scales darker than the night itself, wings that could blot out the storm, and eyes that glowed with a faint, unnatural light. The storm around it seemed to bend and twist, lightning arcing unnaturally toward its form. It was intelligent, aware, and deadly. The colonists who had stayed behind in the canyon scrambled for cover, oblivious to the full scale of what was approaching. "Stay calm," Eric muttered, more to himself than anyone else. He scanned the hatchling, trying to understand what it had just shown him. Its pulses were faster now, almost frantic but coordinated, like it was trying to send him instructions. Eric had faced impossible odds before, but this was different. He wasn't just fighting for survival, he was trying to understand an alien consciousness communicating through bioenergy. The mercenaries scrambled back into position, reloading pulse rifles and scanning the shadows. They were dangerous but predictable. The elder dragon, however, was something else entirely. As it descended, a low rumble vibrated through the canyon, the kind that made the rocks tremble and the wind scream. The mother dragon hissed in warning, stepping protectively over the hatchling, but Eric could see the fear in its eyes. It wasn't fear of the storm, it was fear of the newcomer. Eric made a decision. He needed to act before panic spread. He crouched low, keeping the hatchling close, and extended his hand toward the mother dragon, letting the creature see his intention. "We can face this, together," he said firmly. Whether the dragon understood words or intention, it stiffened, then nodded slightly. Its wings flared once more, shielding them both, and for a fleeting moment, Eric felt a strange connection forming, human and alien, united against a shared threat. The shadow descended rapidly, its wings whipping up the storm, lightning striking dangerously close. Eric's eyes narrowed. The hatchling pulsed again, and he realized it wasn't just projecting memories, it could manipulate energy. He adjusted his armor's shield, linking it to the hatchling's pulses once more. Sparks erupted as the two energies merged, creating a flickering barrier of violet and silver light. The mercenaries stumbled at the sight, unsure if they should attack or retreat, but the bigger threat loomed beyond their comprehension. Then it happened. The elder dragon let out a deafening roar, sending a wave of energy through the canyon. Eric stumbled, the hatchling clinging to him tightly. The mother dragon flared its wings defensively, but even its power was dwarfed by the newcomer. Rocks and debris flew, creating hazards at every turn. The mercenaries fired indiscriminately, but the combined human-dragon energy field deflected the shots. For the first time, Eric realized the hatchling wasn't just a passive creature. It could strategize, act instinctively, and protect itself and others. Eric's mind raced. He had fought wars, navigated hostile planets, and faced alien beasts before, but never had he been in a situation where survival depended on understanding a creature's thoughts, predicting its actions, and reacting instantly to a threat that defied all natural law. He could feel the hatchling's heartbeat in sync with his own, guiding him, warning him, urging him to act. The elder dragon landed with earth-shaking force, claws embedding into the canyon walls, sending debris tumbling toward them. Eric jumped aside, narrowly avoiding a falling boulder, the hatchling squealing in protest. The mother dragon hissed and lashed out with a tail strike, knocking back some of the debris. Then the shadow dragon's eyes locked on Eric. He felt its intelligence probing him, measuring him, deciding if he was a threat. A sudden flash of insight struck him. The hatchling's pulses weren't just energy, they were a communication system, a neural link. If he could synchronize with it more fully, he could anticipate the elder dragon's moves, protect the colony, and keep both dragons alive. Eric took a deep breath, feeling the pulse of the hatchling under his armor. He focused, letting instinct and connection take over. The elder dragon lunged, faster than human reflexes could manage, wings whipping a storm of wind and lightning. Eric dove, shield raised, hatchling clutched tightly. In that instant, their energies merged, forming a barrier that shimmered brighter than the storm itself. The strike hit the barrier and shattered harmlessly against it. The mercenaries screamed, some fleeing, others frozen in disbelief. Eric felt a surge of triumph, but it was brief. The elder dragon recoiled, not defeated, only testing the limits of this new human-hatchling bond. It hissed, a sound that shook the air and rattled his bones. Its eyes gleamed with calculation. It wasn't finished. The mother dragon roared, circling them, wings flaring like a storm within a storm. The hatchling glowed in response, sending waves of energy outward, warning the human and the elder dragon alike. Eric's muscles burned, adrenaline flooding his veins, but he held firm. He understood now, courage alone wouldn't win this battle. Intelligence, timing, and empathy were his weapons. A sudden gust carried a strange vibration, different from lightning or wind, a low hum that resonated in Eric's chest. He looked up, eyes widening. Another movement in the storm, faster than anything seen before, skimming along the canyon walls, circling the dragons. The hatchling pulsed violently, its glow blinding. Eric tightened his grip and whispered, "Whatever you are, we're ready for you." The unknown presence stopped midair, hovering like a shadow waiting to strike. Eric's heart raced. He realized the battle was far from over. The storm, the elder dragon, the mysterious entity, they were all part of a puzzle he had only just begun to understand. And then, from the darkness above, a flash of lightning illuminated a feature no dragon should have: two glowing eyes, calculating, aware, and focused solely on him. Eric froze. This wasn't just a fight for survival anymore. This was the beginning of something far larger, far more dangerous. The canyon shook as the storm raged harder than ever. Eric's arms ached from holding the hatchling close, its glowing pulses flickering in a frantic rhythm, warning him of every approaching danger. The mother dragon loomed overhead, wings outstretched like shields of living metal, while the elder shadow dragon circled, eyes locked on the hatchling with cold precision. Eric knew he couldn't wait for anything to happen. He had to act now. Lightning cracked across the sky, striking dangerously close, and Eric took a deep breath. He scanned the canyon for anything he could use, anything at all that might give him an edge. The rocks were slick, jagged, and treacherous, but a cluster of jagged outcrops near the canyon's edge gave him an idea. He shifted, keeping the hatchling cradled against his chest, and prepared to lure the elder dragon toward a natural bottleneck in the canyon. He had no weapons capable of harming it directly. His only advantage was cunning and the unpredictable energy of the hatchling. The elder dragon's eyes narrowed, wings flaring, sending a violent gust toward him. Eric staggered, but he held firm, letting the hatchling's pulses guide his balance. The glow was steadying now, almost like it was syncing with his heartbeat. He whispered to it, "We can do this. Trust me." The hatchling responded with a brighter pulse, as if answering back, ready to act. The elder dragon lunged suddenly, faster than Eric expected, wings flapping to generate a windstorm that threatened to knock both human and hatchling off the cliff. Eric pivoted, dodging falling debris and sharp rocks, and ran toward the bottleneck. The hatchling emitted a high-pitched pulse, sending an arc of energy outward. It struck the elder dragon's wings, and for a moment the creature faltered, thrown off balance. The mercenaries on the canyon floor shouted, startled by the burst, but Eric ignored them. Every second counted. The mother dragon swooped in low, adding her protective force to the mix, wings beating down a wall of wind that shielded Eric and the hatchling from lightning strikes. Eric felt the raw power in the air, the tremor under his boots as the dragons maneuvered together. He realized in that moment that he wasn't just facing a battle of survival, he was part of an alliance, however fragile, between human and alien. Then the elder dragon roared, a sound that rattled every stone in the canyon. Lightning seemed to bend around it as it prepared for another strike. Eric's heart pounded. There was no margin for error. He tightened his grip on the hatchling and raised the makeshift shield he had rigged from his armor and the hatchling's energy pulses. Sparks flew as the combined energy field flared, pushing back against the incoming strike. The blast missed, scorching the canyon walls and sending debris raining down. Eric shielded the hatchling with his body, feeling the heat on his back but holding firm. The elder dragon recovered quickly, circling back for another strike. Eric knew he couldn't rely solely on defense. He needed to take the initiative. With the hatchling glowing brighter than ever, he focused on its pulses, letting instinct and energy sync with his own movements. He darted forward, dodging falling rocks, and leapt toward the bottleneck, dragging the elder dragon's attention with him. The creature followed, its wings churning wind and electricity, until it was trapped momentarily between jagged walls of rock. Eric's mind raced. The hatchling pulsed again, and he realized it could amplify the energy field if he exposed more of its body to the storm's electricity. Taking a calculated risk, he extended the hatchling in front of him, letting the pulses flow outward. A wave of violet and silver light erupted, striking the elder dragon squarely. The creature staggered, flapping wildly to regain balance, giving Eric and the mother dragon a brief opening. Breathing hard, Eric ducked behind a large boulder, trying to steady himself. The hatchling nestled against his chest again, its glow fading slightly as it rested. The mother dragon hovered protectively over them both, eyes scanning the canyon for any sign of further danger. Eric's muscles burned, his back ached, but he felt a surge of relief. They had survived the immediate threat. But the storm wasn't over. From the swirling clouds above, Eric saw it. Another shadow, faster and darker than the elder dragon, streaking through the storm like a missile. Its presence made the hair on his arms stand on end. The hatchling pulsed violently, warning him that this was no ordinary enemy. The mother dragon growled low in her throat, wings bracing. Eric knew instinctively, this wasn't just about protecting one life anymore. The canyon, the colony, the dragons, they were all part of something bigger. He had to hold his ground, coordinate with the hatchling, and face whatever came next. Every decision now carried unimaginable weight. One mistake and they could all be gone. He tightened his grip on the hatchling and looked up at the approaching shadow, determination flashing in his eyes. "We're not running," he muttered, voice steady despite the storm. "We fight. Together." The hatchling responded with a sharp, bright pulse, almost like an answer. Eric felt the energy surge between them, stronger than ever before. Lightning cracked overhead, illuminating the canyon, and the shadow froze midair. Its eyes glinted, locked on him, intelligent and calculating. Eric realized the fight was far from over. The storm, the elder dragon, the unknown presence, they were all part of a challenge he had only begun to understand. And then, with a sudden, deafening roar that shook the canyon floor, the shadow lunged toward them, faster than anything Eric had ever faced. He braced himself, hatchling tight in his arms, and prepared to face the impossible. The storm had reached a deafening crescendo. Wind tore through the canyon with relentless fury, lightning striking in jagged sheets across the jagged rocks. Eric's boots slipped on the slick stone as he crouched behind a boulder, the hatchling's tiny body trembling in his arms. Its glow pulsed rapidly, a heartbeat of energy in perfect sync with his own. Above him, the mother dragon circled protectively, wings slicing the stormy air, every motion deliberate and tense. The shadowed dragon, the enormous unknown entity, had halted midair, hovering with terrifying precision. Its eyes glowed like molten coals, fixed entirely on Eric. Every instinct in his body screamed that one wrong move could end everything. He felt the weight of the hatchling, the pressure of the storm, and the expectant gaze of the mother dragon above. The telepathic echo of her voice returned, low and commanding, "Decide, protect him." Eric swallowed hard. This was more than survival. It was a test of courage, morality, and ingenuity. He could feel the energy between the hatchling and himself intensifying, as if it were urging him forward. Slowly, deliberately, he extended the hatchling outward, letting its bioenergy flow into the storm. Sparks of violet and silver streaked across the canyon walls, illuminating the chaos. The shadow dragon recoiled, wings flaring, but it didn't strike. It was wary now. Eric seized the moment. He leapt from his cover, moving quickly toward the bottleneck of the canyon where the jagged rocks could constrain the shadow dragon's massive form. Each step was measured, precise, a dance against the storm. Lightning struck nearby, but he ignored it, trusting the hatchling's energy to shield them. The mother dragon followed his lead, flaring her wings to create a protective barrier around him, her low growl echoing through the canyon. The hatchling pulsed in response, sending arcs of energy outward. They struck the shadow dragon, but rather than harming it, the pulses seemed to communicate something, like warnings or challenges. Eric realized the creature was intelligent, reacting to their combined human-dragon energy. He adjusted his movement, guiding the hatchling to emit pulses in precise rhythms. The shadow dragon hesitated, clearly assessing, calculating. "Hold on," Eric muttered, sweat streaming down his face. "We can do this." The shadow dragon lunged suddenly, wings cutting through the wind like blades. Eric dove forward, vaulting over a jagged rock, the hatchling's glow bright against the storm's fury. The mother dragon intercepted, flaring wings and letting out a deafening roar that clashed with the shadow dragon's own. Sparks of electricity danced between them, illuminating the tension in their faces, or at least what counted as faces. Eric saw his chance. The bottleneck narrowed. The shadow dragon's massive wings couldn't fully maneuver without striking the canyon walls. He sprinted forward, urging the hatchling to pulse faster, letting the energy guide them like a living map. The shadow dragon struck at him instinctively, claws whipping, but Eric ducked and rolled behind another boulder. A pulse from the hatchling struck the canyon wall, sending a cascade of jagged rock onto the dragon's path. It roared in frustration, momentarily trapped. Eric didn't pause. Heart hammering, he rose and sprinted toward the safer side of the canyon, using every ounce of strength to keep the hatchling's energy focused. The mother dragon mirrored him, guiding him with precise wing movements, keeping both the hatchling and him out of reach. The shadow dragon struggled, testing their defense, but the combined force of human courage, the hatchling's energy, and the elder dragon's protective instincts kept it at bay. Finally, the shadow dragon hesitated at the canyon's edge, pulsing with awareness, sizing up its opponents. Eric saw the moment of opportunity and whispered to the hatchling, "Now." The creature responded with a surge of blinding light, sending a ripple of energy toward the shadow dragon. The force pushed it back, staggering it but without harm. For the first time, Eric felt the thrill of true teamwork, human and alien, instinct and courage, energy and intelligence, all in perfect harmony. The shadow dragon hovered for a tense moment, wings vibrating, then released a low, rumbling sound that reverberated through the canyon. It wasn't anger. It wasn't surrender. It was recognition. Eric realized it had tested them and they had passed. He exhaled, chest heaving, and felt the hatchling settle, its glow dimming to a calm, steady light. The mother dragon landed beside him, massive and imposing, yet gentle in her presence. She nudged the hatchling forward, murmuring in her mind, "Safe, thanks to you." Eric smiled, relief and exhaustion mixing in his veins. He had survived the impossible and the hatchling was safe. The storm began to ebb, clouds breaking, letting the pale light of the alien sun seep into the canyon. The mother dragon lowered her massive head, eyes meeting his. There was understanding there, trust and perhaps even respect. "Your son is safe," Eric said softly, still holding the hatchling. "He's in good hands." A sudden vibration from the hatchling pulsed through him again, sharper this time. Eric looked down, heart skipping a beat. The energy flickered, showing him a vision, far beyond the canyon, far beyond the storm. Other creatures, other dragons, and something vast and alien moving through the stars. The hatchling's light pulsed urgently, a reminder that this battle, this protection, was only the beginning. Eric's eyes met the mother dragon's once more. She lowered her wings slightly, giving a nod of acknowledgement. He understood her message clearly. The hatchling's safety had been won, but their journey together and the mysteries ahead were far from over. He tightened his grip on the hatchling, feeling its warmth, its heartbeat, and the electric connection that had saved them all. He turned to look toward the distant horizon, toward the storm's edge where the unknown awaited. One thing was certain. He had proven that human courage, intelligence, and compassion could stand against impossible odds. And yet, in the far distance, shadows moved across the clouds, and Eric realized the true test was still coming. The hatchling stirred, pulsing lightly, and Eric whispered, "Whatever comes next, we face it together." The storm may have passed for now, but the universe had already begun sending its next challenge.